everyone, today I'm creating some cards using Kendra's Card Challenge number 15. This is available at Cards by Kendra's website. I will put the links below and the instructions on how you can find the card challenge. Basically, you use 6 pieces of 6x6 pattern paper to create 15 unique cards. I will say that I often use a couple of extra pieces of the pattern paper that I'm selecting from because I like to swap out some of the plain pieces for pattern paper, and if there's something that's a bit directional that's not quite working, then I just replace it with another piece to keep things nice and simple. The basis for my cards today is going to be this On the Farm set from Paper Rose. This came in a mystery box. You may have heard me talk about those before, but I'm working through my mystery box to create all kinds of projects this year. And this is probably a pattern paper set that I wouldn't choose myself. I'm not really into really busy patterns, and the on the farm look isn't really something that I would normally go for, but I managed to pick these 6 pattern papers, which are not directional, which is perfect for a Kendra's Card Challenge, and they work together really nicely. So they're going to form the basis of my cards today. Right here, I'm just going through and I'm putting the pattern paper in particular positions where I know that when I chop them up, different pieces are going to go together. And it's just to avoid having, perhaps the fawn kind of color paper and the cream together, because it just doesn't have enough pop. So if there's a couple of colors and patterns that I think together would not be a good basis for an entire card, then I shuffle them around until I have them in a spot that works for me. When I'm cutting down the pattern paper, I basically put 15 cards across the top of my desk. I put 10 in a row and then 5. That way I can sort of count up from 1 through 5 and down from 10 through 6. It's really easy for me to find the card base that I need to put the pattern papers with. So going through and chopping these down is really quite straightforward. I do have to make sure that I'm paying attention. There has been times in the past where I get a little bit distracted and then I cut the wrong measurement or I put the piece with the wrong card. So I highly encourage you at this step to really pay attention to what you're doing and where you're actually putting the papers, because when you get on to the future steps, it will make things a lot easier. I will say that there's been quite a few people in my comment section in the past when I've done these card challenges who've said they've found the process a bit intimidating, or they get started and then they don't finish, or it takes them a really long time to do the cards. I have another video, and I'll put a link at the end and below in the comments, that gives you, I think there's like 28 hints and tips. I counted the number of tips I came through the video, and I really broke down my process quite specifically so that if there's anyone who is unsure about creating cards this way, then hopefully it will encourage you to give it a go. It may not be for everyone, so that's fine, but I find that this is a great way to use up, especially embellishments and things that I can add to the cards to make them a little bit unique. I then also use these card sketches as inspiration for other projects. So I normally find 2 or 3 that I particularly like that I will use to finish off a paper pad that's incomplete, or on some other project that I've got half finished. I'm not sure about you, but I have loads of half-finished projects. And in fact, being a content creator, I also have probably 20 half-completed videos where I haven't finished recording the conclusion of the project. So I'm going to try and work through those so that the list doesn't just keep getting longer and longer and longer. For the first card, it has a big white square in the middle. And in hindsight, I possibly could have used some pattern paper for that bit in the middle, but in the end I decided that I was going to complete these cards by using some PET stickers. I'm just trying them out. So for this one here, I've just got the red and white on the edges, so I could have done absolutely anything with the design, including with the sentiment. Here's the different stickers. They're kind of cool because they're not washi tape, they're actually clear and then opaque. When you put them on top of different colors, as long as you're not putting them on something that's too dark, they actually show up really nicely. So that's the first one I've created and the first time I've used those stickers. And this project was so much fun. I ended up mucking around with the different size elements and trying to figure out what I was going to put on which card. And you'll see as we go through that I ended up using them on quite a number of the cards today. For card number 2, you'll see here that I make a pretty maybe common mistake. I'm not sure how common. I do it every now and then. And this is just because I was not paying attention. So very excited that I put the thank you sentiment on there. And then I realized the card was upside down. So I have pulled it off and I thought I'll get rid of this double-sided tape and it'll all be fine. But it was not fine. It was well and truly stuck. So I spun the thank you sentiment around so it's facing the correct direction, and it is different to the card sketch. And because it doesn't really balance out well being in that top corner, I decided that I needed to put something else on the card to add a little bit more interest. So you will see here that I am going to add this one with a little sombrero hat to complete this card. For card number 3, this also has triangles on it, and then I chose to swap the oval to a rectangle. I just find these easier to work with, and I don't think I have any oval dies, so I tend to make this change on any of the sketches, and it works out just fine. It creates a slightly different shape, but it's still the intent of the card sketch with the focus element in the middle. When I've attached these onto the card base, I've actually left a 1/4 inch gap around the edge. I don't think that was included on the sketch, but I tend to like the white border because it just kind of makes things seem like they're meant to be on the front of the card. I don't know why, that sounds a little bit silly, but for me, I just prefer a border around the edge. Now, with these little scenes from the desert, I tried a couple of different options. And the thing that was concerning me was the fact that I have that gap on the right-hand side. I couldn't center it. But in the end, I worked out that if I put the little happy birthday there, because of the way the design goes onto the card, you can't even really see the edge of the sticker. So it worked out beautifully, and I really enjoy that card. Now, for this next one here, I was trying to work out what's the best way to attach this to the card. I hadn't looked too closely at the sketch, and I wasn't sure if this part down the middle was supposed to go over the top of the 2 pattern papers or in between. So I just made an executive decision and decided to just add that to the middle of the card and then butt the papers up to the edge. So basically that little bit is a little bit of a divider in the middle, and then the pattern papers are over to the edge of it. I am not sure if it was intended to go on top, but this way the front of my card is completely flat and I can put this little rectangle on top with no issues at all. The other thing with this one is because it's quite a narrow rectangle, I had very limited options with what I could put on top of it. All of the square-shaped stickers were not going to work unless I cut out half of the scene. So I went again with the cactus with the little guitar and the sombrero hat, and I have spun the sketch around to make it a portrait sketch instead of a horizontal. And then I'm just offsetting the happy birthday down here. So this one ended up super cute. I really like this one. Moving on to card sketch number 5. This one is quite simple. It just has the panel of paper across the middle and then the circle. I chose to use a leftover circle where I had made an error with my stamping, and just based on where I lined up the dragonfly, I was able to then cover it with this strip of pattern paper. So it's been sitting in my extras stash for quite a while, and then I finally found the perfect design where I could use that circle that had the mistake. So I don't throw things away unless I really need to, and I could have used it as an extra layer behind a circle, which is often what I do with stamping errors, but in this instance it worked out perfectly for this card layout. I'm now just cutting down the banners, and I should have done it the opposite way. I should have put the big banner first and then the small banner on top, but I realized too late and then it was just too difficult, and I just had to put the one over the top. So it wasn't how the sketch was originally intended, but I ended up adding a 3rd banner just to split up the design so that in real life you don't have the big brown banner covering up most of the other one. And for this one, I've used the dancer, and then I've used one of the Tim Holtz stickers to add Inspire. That turned out so cute. Okay, on to card number 6. Now, this one was a little bit of a surprise. I'm going to say that card 6 is one of my favorites in the layouts today. And I think it's just because of the extra circles on top of each other. I mean, I like the black matting circle. I just think it makes the others absolutely stand out. And it makes it a little bit more interesting than just having a circle on a card. It really creates some definition and really turns that into an absolute focus point. And then just the simplicity of having a simple sentiment below means that this would be the type of card that you could create bulk, and you could use lots and lots of pattern papers to work through this. The other thing as well is because this is a smaller piece of pattern paper, I did mat it on a black matting layer, so you've got that double highlight, which looks fantastic. And I'm pretty sure I used the dancer. I'm pretty sure, yes, I used the ballet dancer on this. I'm sure I do. No, the sombrero? No, wait. Oh my gosh, so many options. And you know what? There we go. I used the hat and the guitar. I was so sure I used the dancer. We'll have to wait and see what card I used that on. Okay, on to card number 7. So this one with the 2 strips and then the circle with the scallop die. I do not use scallop dies traditionally. Like there's a few things that I don't use when I'm creating my cards. I'm more of a kind of keep it simple kind of card maker. So I don't really use bows or frills, or the scallop dies would kind of fall into that category for me. So here I am just using a square instead of the circle. I must have had something in my stash that I could use straight away for that one, because I normally do use circles when they're part of a card layout. Given the size of this square though, I don't have any of the stickers that are going to work. So I did grab this sticker pack from my stash. This is from Kraft, and I got this on clearance a while back and I haven't used it yet. I'm thinking maybe I could use this colour scheme to create some cards for a future video. But I've just used one of the pattern stickers to create a little bit more interest at the bottom, and then just the little beautiful sticker, and that has completed card number 7. For card number 8, I'm just adding the banner to the top, and then I have cut down all the long banners to go on top of the pattern paper. In the past, I've avoided using banners and I've just put the rectangles, but I do think for some of these card layouts, if you don't add the banner to the edge, it ends up looking quite different than the original sketch was intending. So I've just gotten better at cutting a banner that doesn't look wonky. So if you're like me and you used to avoid them, then I encourage you to give them a go. And sooner or later, you actually get quite good at cutting up through the middle and creating that little banner bit off to the right-hand side. For this one, I have used the extra dancer, and that is card number 8. On to card number 9. Talking of banners, oh my gosh, this one has loads of those little mini banners, and it has 4 pattern papers. One of them's repeated. Actually, 2 of them are repeated. And then you're supposed to use like a separate piece or a piece of cardstock or something for the 5th banner. When I created mine, I flipped the little strips over and under to try and figure out what colour combination would work. And I was fortunate that on the opposite side of a couple of them, I did have some choices. So I chose to use some of the little branch paper here instead of the other side. And then I am using the back side of this one here because it's part of a design, so it doesn't make any sense on its own. So I used 4 banners instead of 5, and it was pure laziness. I just could not be bothered cutting another piece, and I thought the 4 fit really nicely, so I've just attached those to the front of the card, and it doesn't go all the way over to the edge on the left, but I think that turned out really nicely. So that is card number 9. For card number 10, this one is a matter of lining up the pattern papers and doing a strip down the middle. In the card sketch, there is 2 strips down the middle, like a wider one that looks like it's about 1 inch, and then the thin strip. I deviated from the sketch a little bit and just did the thin one, and then I also put it lower on the card, so I didn't put it through the middle. That was not a deliberate choice to vary the sketch. I literally just didn't look at it properly when I was actually creating the design. So I went with my gut and I added this little clock from the sticker pack, and that is card number 10. On to card number 11. So this one has a big rectangle and then a strip of paper and then a rectangle in the middle. It looks absolutely great. I love how this one goes all the way to the edge and it doesn't have the borders all the way around. It means that you really get to see a lot of the pattern paper and it really gets to shine in this style of card. Because of the size of the border on this one, it's 1/2 inch instead of 1/4 inch. I really could have matted that on some black cardstock, but I chose not to. But if I made this layered again, then I would probably do that, just because I think that would put a bit more definition around the edge. And for this one, I chose to put a couple of the stamps onto that little rectangle in the middle, and that came out really cute. There's just a couple of street scenes. On to card number 12. Now for this one, this is the type of card that if I'm trying to use up a paper pad and I've just got loads of strips of 2-inch left, often that will happen if you create a 5 1/4 by 4-inch matting layer from pattern paper. You end up then with a 6 by 2-inch strip. This one would actually work really well for that, and if you had extra pieces to do the smaller rectangle, that would then work out just fine. So I created this one and kept it really simple, and because I had that really pale colour for the second rectangle, the smaller one, it meant I was thinking that maybe I could put something onto this to add a little bit more interest. With the ballet dancer, it was a little bit more difficult because it was going to go up onto that dark brown colour, and on the dark brown colour it shows through the stickers a bit much. So I picked these flowers with the little shoes. Super, super cute. All right, on to card number 13. Now, I really like this sketch and I think the layout looks really great, but I would say if I was using up my scraps, I would use this sketch again for sure, but I probably wouldn't go out of my way to use this sketch to create loads of cards from a fresh thing of pattern paper, and it's just because cutting down these small pieces just takes so long. So I generally try and use card sketches that have less pieces on them if I'm going to use them for bulk and creating cards using an entire paper pad. But if I'm going through my stash and I've got loads of smaller bits of pattern paper that's left from a project, then I think this one would actually work out really nicely. You'll notice that I've put the pattern paper strip at each end and then in the middle. And that means that then when I put these other two on here, the 4th and 5th piece, I can balance out the spacing between the pattern papers really nicely. That is a really, really big tip. It is really important that the spacing looks really nice on this type of card. Otherwise, it's just going to look really imbalanced. When I added the little half circle, I then realized, oops, it was supposed to be off to the left. So I was fortunate that I could move it, and it does look better on the left. I had not allowed the glue to dry, so I moved it really, really quickly. So I was super, super lucky. I'm back to my stickers again, and this time I've got this one, which is the hat and the guitar, and that is a beautiful thank you card. For card number 14, this one has lots of small elements, so it did take quite a bit of time to put together, but once you put the first couple of pieces down, the others just slot into place like a puzzle, so it was really straightforward to make. If you're enjoying the video, it'd be fantastic if you could hit the like button. That is how YouTube knows to share the video with more viewers. And if you have a favorite card sketch, then maybe just comment below and let me know which one's your favorite. And maybe I'll do some more cards with the ones that are the most popular. So here you can see that they just pop in like a puzzle, as I mentioned earlier. And if you do the first couple, then after that, they're super, super quick. I did pay attention to which pattern paper was going to go in which space. So the little leaves at the top, and then the darker colour with the brown in the middle, and then the pinky colour at the bottom. And that was just because I knew that I wanted to break up the balance of the colour by having the darkest one in the middle. And it worked out fine. I think you could put them in any colour order and they would work out okay. But I really just wanted to mention that I did make a conscious choice about what colour the rows were. And it was quite possibly not the colours on the sketch that were recommended from the pattern paper design. But once I've got all the pieces, it's then just a matter of trying to work out how I'm going to create a card with them. So for this one, it worked out really nicely. Now, originally I had thought that that card was completed, but since I had started using these little stickers, I then decided I could add a little bit more interest to it. So I put these shoes and the flowers on it, and it came out really nicely. So that is card number 14. On to the final card, and this is card number 15. This one is such an unusual design, and I can see that Kendra has on the sketch that you can see in the top right corner, tried to turn it into the front of a lady's shirt. I didn't really have any buttons or anything that I wanted to use to try and use the design that way. So I adjusted it and I simply added a strip of brown paper down the left. And then that allowed me to put the circle a little bit in from the left-hand side, which meant that it wasn't going to show that gap at the top of the shirt design. So that is card number 15. I have put another video here that I think you might enjoy. Have a great day.